Aha! I've been waiting for this. I've been waiting for Magna to make his return to Black Clover, and very much as I was hoping for, that when he returned, he'd be returning with some new tricks up his sleeve in order to continue being in the fight. And the thing about how this new spell he has was a Soul Chain Deathmatch, he called it, is it means that by the fundamental way that it works, he can always be relevant if he can get that chain off. Granted, obviously, he has to get the chain to hit. But similar to how, Magna's fighting style is in general, like, it's all based around how he's just setting things up. Because, like, he's not like Zora, where Zora's a strategist who's also really smart. Like, Magna's clearly not the smartest dude, but he's cunning. He's pretty, he's pretty quick on his feet to think of strategies at the drop of a hat and, under pressure. So, in this scenario, I thought this was really good because not only does it add to Magna, but it has the potential to add to Dante. And I'll get to that in just a second. I'll talk about, how the chapter started out. Like, Lilith is just fading out. Good riddance. Don't need to see her anymore. I can't wait to actually bring up the second that we get the next Tree Devil that people are going to forget about Lilith and Nama, because they were boring. They were literally just powerful devils. There was nothing interesting really to them. And that's pretty much it. That's all there really was to them. Like, they're only going to think back to these two as, like, they were strong. But, like, the chapter after that, you have Noct talking to Asta, and he's, like, telling him he's doing a good job, and the comments about how his Devil Union isn't fully finished yet, and I think that the signs for that, more so, were from, like, whenever he was using his different swords, there were slight variations in how his Devil Union was designed. There were just slight kind of, like, bits changed, like, when he brought out the Demon Dweller sword, his sharp shoulder pad turned more round, and then his wings looked like a little bit more cape-like. And I know with the Demon Destroyer sword, he had, like, part of his, like, weird headband crown he's got going on spike back and get a lot bigger. So we're gonna see more of that progression, I would assume, as things just kind of go on. Because if this was just, like, fully finished, I don't really know what Asta would have next, but if it's still growing, it's still going to kind of progress with it, then, obviously, then it's, it's something that can stay relevant without having to give Asta another brand new form or something later on. But he was pretty happy, with what Noct said. He's, like, saying how, you are, like, a lot like Captain Yami, and, like, Noct's just messing with him with his shadows after that point, and, he's like, what are you talking about? I thought that was just a really nice, funny interaction between the two of them. And then there was the noting that after Asta's Devil Union timer went out, that he can't use Devil Union or Black Form for 30 minutes, which is actually really big when you really think about it, because it's like a 5-minute trade-off for a 30-minute penalty can really, like, hold a lot of just, like, dangerous area. Now, granted, his anti-magic is still, like, he can still use the swords, I would imagine, but they're going to be, like, in their base kind of status, just the way that he normally would have them without having to, make them, like, pitch black or any of these new versions. But he still has a little bit of relevancy with it, and when Noct was talking about the situation, he's, like, saying right now the worst situation is in Cut Away. I think that what he was going to say, and at least probably what he was thinking, was the worst scenario right now with Asta without Devil Union within the next 30 minutes. Who knows what could happen, but the worst case scenario is that they're going to have to take Asta to, cut the tree, and then, that will take care of the whole ritual, but Yami and William will die in the process. So, I mean, that right there, a little bit of a risky scenario coming up. So, that right, I think, being set up is still really important, because that's that, again, worst case scenario that was established that needs to always be kind of present on the table for, like, they might have to do this. But other than that, there was the comment that Noct was saying how the Dark Triad with their 100% are on the level of the highest devil class, which is good. I don't really, like, we were talking about in one of Josuke's streams the other day, is that if Dante is not above Lilith and Nama, then Asta's gonna run through him. Like, it shouldn't be that much of a problem. It should just be like Asta, you know, he's gonna have to just figure out whatever Dante's tricks are when he's using them, and then home in and then defeat him. But I think the stuff going on with Magna is the potential to grow Dante right now, because I'll get to it in a second, because I want to talk about how the chapter kind of progressed with Jack. Jack, I didn't really see like anything to talk too much about him, other than like I like that he was still determined to take down Dante. There was the thing like Dante took a slash through the head, and from the other fights, I don't think he took any damage to, you know, to his skull, like to his brain. Because that was, like, just the general idea of, like, maybe that was how you would defeat him so he couldn't regenerate, is if you took out his head. So it's at least, if you cut his head, it will just regenerate. I don't know, still, if it will fully regenerate. Say, like, if Yami did a death thrust right at Dante's face and his head was just gone, would his head regenerate? That's, like, the only, probably, step left in that area. I think the only thing beyond that for, like, Dante for regeneration is if, like, you completely wiped out his body, would he be able to, like, just form back from his mana, or say, like, from, like, droplets of his blood or something kind of scenario. But after that, Zora and Magna show up, and this is a really interesting setup, because, like I said, if Dante can learn from this scenario, he can actually become a lot stronger. And I know people like meme on Dante, because, like, Dante's gotten worked on a bit, but I like Dante's character. I think he's pretty interesting, and one thing I really like about him that Tabata has had is he's not afraid to have Dante kind of, you know, getting beaten up and looking a little bit down, while still seemingly staying relevant. He's not, and it's one of those things where it's not like, just the character I could use right now is Kaido over in One Piece. Like, he's been getting beat up a lot since his fight started, but regardless of that, you know, he's the main focus villain of the arc. He is the big, like, center of what's going on. We don't know if that's going to be really the case with Dante. The only way I could see Dante not keeping that status, because, you know, obviously with Dante being stated to be, you know, one of the higher level devil, or highest level devil tier right now, is just, you know, they get to people like Lucifaro and stuff in this arc, and it's not something that happens later on in the story. But other than that, I would like to believe that Dante will progress and kind of regain his spot, because obviously with these high level tree devils all coming out, that he's like, he'll get eclipsed otherwise if he doesn't kind of progress by these guys. And in this whole setup, he's like not even caring that much about Zora and Magna, because neither of them have that much magic. They're both peasants. They aren't arcane. There's nothing too crazy about, like, their magic in general. Like, Zora's just more of like how he's, you know, a tactical dude. He's got, you know, very tricky traps. Whereas with Magna is just like he doesn't really have any crazy kind of twist to his character until he got this chain. This is like his big thing right now. But with Dante was like, oh, you know, whatever, I don't really want to even deal with you guys. And Magna's like, you know what? No, it's not going to be us. It's just going to be me. And Dante wasn't really happy about that. He's like, stop trying to mock me. Like, I'm not having that. And my favorite part, I'd say, of the chapter overall was the flashback where it was showing Magna and Zora were watching the fight with, you know, Asta and Yami versus Dante. I thought that was a really cool, you know, thing just to throw in there, because we were wondering, like, where exactly they were at, but, you know, if they were watching, it probably was really, you know, as seen with Magna, really hard not to try and go in and help Yami, but there's nothing he really could have done at that point. Because, like, what would he have done? Like, throw a fireball at him? It's not going to really do anything. The only way I could have seen Magna do anything, I'd say, in the fight, is, like, his invisible fireballs. If you can kind of just use them to maybe, like, kind of trick up Dante to make, you know, to help Yami in the fight. But I feel like just how much mana Dante had, he would probably not even get phased by it. It would probably lead up to kind of like when we saw Elfana going crazy with the Salamander, where Finral's magic was just barely maintaining itself, and it was just kind of fizzling out. But he's like, just like, you know, just attack me all you want, just do whatever. And Magnus on the flashback, remembering, like, saying, like, he knows that he's weak, but he can't just, you know, stand by and do nothing and pretend it doesn't bother him while all the other people are, you know, are progressing. Because essentially everybody else in the Black Bulls has something pretty special about their magic. The only other person that that really doesn't is Zora. But the thing about Zora is Zora has all these OP traps, because like, keep in mind, back in the Elf Resurrection arc, there was that part with the elves against Marileona, and any of them 1v1 would be able to take Zora, but you had all of their magic combined. Well, not all of their magic combined. They all had a spell combined with Elf Raya of all people and thrown at Marileona. And Zora was able to reflect not only that attack, but after Asta doubled it back to him again, he was able to reflect it once more. So like, he was able to reflect an amount of energy that would kill him many times over. So his is really just down to if he can get his stuff set up and and have a good enough strategy. Whereas prior to this this new spell that Magna has, Magna's whole thing really was just how he could do combos with his fireballs. Like, he had his automatic, like, he had ones that he could detonate, the regular ones. He had his ones that turn invisible and stuff. Outside of that, he didn't really have anything that crazy. And when we got past the areas we're at, like say the Royal Magic Knights exam and the Elf Resurrection arc, and we're getting this stuff with like all these broken devils, really powerful people. It's like Magna needed to have something to keep him up. And I like that Tabata was able to set it up in a way that Magna not having a lot of mana actually played well in his favor. So he ends up throwing like a fireball at Dante after Dante's just like, just fight, just throw all the attacks you want, and then when you're done, go away. Like, I'm not even going to bother with you. I thought that was really interesting, but the thing about Dante, and you see it as soon as the chain hits him, and he's, like, what's with this? And he's forced out from like 100% to what I would assume is 50%, because, the whole thing is like, it adds up their mana, as a total, and then cuts it in half, and then they essentially get the equal share of half of, whoever's linked between these two chains. So now it's going to come down to pretty much a battle of technique and magic. Not like their mana amount, but whatever their magic is. Like, say like Magna was against Langris or something, and he evened out their magic. It'd be like, it doesn't change the fact that Langris still, like, with his regular attacks, is able to spatially, like, pretty much slice and erase stuff. Whereas with Dante, we know that Dante, like, he knows how to fight, but he's not, like, we know that he's not at, like, the levels of other people that generally are at his tier in terms of fighting capability. It's just that he has two really good hacks abilities that combo well together with his gravity magic and his body magic. But the thing is, with this, Dante with his regeneration, he has the classic fallback and problem of people that have this like high level of regeneration, is because of the regeneration is so good, they're so overconfident with that they're fine with taking hits and abilities. And this is a good example of any character that, even if they're weaker, if they have a good enough hacks, and these dudes will just stand there and get hit by it, then they're gonna pretty much just let themselves lose. So if Dante is able to take this scenario, take this what just happened to him, getting punched and knocked down by a guy who otherwise would be fodder to him, because if Dante didn't do the whole like, I'm just gonna stand here, you do your thing, and then go, like, he could have just pressed into the Demon King, killed Magna, took him out immediately, and there's nothing Magna could have done. And I don't want Magna to die, obviously, but I'm hoping from this fight that Dante starts to actually think more about the fights he's in, think more about his opponents, because it doesn't have to be like, oh, I know everything about you, so I'm gonna be more cautious. If you don't know what your opponent's abilities are, you should be at least somewhat cautious before at least finding them out. Say he saw waited, he saw the chain coming out, dodged it, and then was like, there's something about that, or must have been a trick to that, then he would have been fine. But obviously he just stood there, he let it happen because of his overconfidence and underestimating his opponent. So Magna is getting he's getting a good fight in here, and he brings out his whole he's got these fiery brass knuckles now, and I like the whole Soul Chain Deathmatch name. It is really cool in just the general setup, because now Magna, as long as he's able to get this chain off, then he can fight his opponent, because then they get equaled out in mana. And as long as he ups his his tactical abilities, his fighting technique, and his just general like durability and whatnot. Because Magna's always had he's always had really good durability, just because like he's good at taking a beating. But if he's just able to up again his fighting technique and skills and everything, then if he's able to set up and land these chains on powerful opponents, then he has a chance of beating them. I don't really know what he's gonna do against Dante overall, because he they have equal mana, so it's not like Dante can just outlast him. But he doesn't. I don't really know what Magna's really gonna have to take Dante down. Granted, he's now more powerful than he's ever been. This is Magna at once at a who knows when opportunity of his strength, because again he's got half of Dante's power, half of 100% Dante's power right now pumping through him. So we can see just way crazier versions of his fireballs, just doing way bigger spells and whatnot. And the thing with Dante actually on top of that is he doesn't have a lot of his better spells while in 50%, because we didn't see it until I think 80% when he pulled out Singularity, because that's his unfair hacks right there, because he's got all those other abilities, but a mini black hole is completely different than say he's just applying pressure onto somebody or having a really big physical punch or whatnot. So I thought this was a really solid chapter, and I actually really like that it not only did a lot for Magna, but it has the potential for Dante to get some character development, get some progression. Because like I said, if Dante can leave this fight, whether he wins or loses, and I'm hoping that he wins, and maybe Magna can just kind of Magna doesn't need to win for him to have improvements and stuff. This was already really big for his character, and especially the flashback. The flashback did a lot too, and I've always liked Magna, so I was happy about this. But I'm hoping that Dante can really look at himself during this next chapter or two, while he's getting worked on by Magna, is he can be yeah, I should probably not stand there and get hit by my opponents, because one of the things that obviously screwed him over in his fight with Yami and Asta is he didn't he was underestimating Asta and whatnot. He's underestimating his abilities with anti-magic and stuff, so that he's not looking good in that regards. And that's just one of those things of arrogance that can screw over really powerful people if they run into the wrong opponents. So we'll see how that goes. Again, I'm really hoping Dante can just take some notes and then reflect on them after this fight, but we'll see. Other than that though, like I said, solid chapter. I thought it was pretty good. Unfortunately, next week is Golden Week, so it's a week that we gotta wait longer, but the mangaka and in a lot of the weekly stuff are gonna get a week off, to rest and recuperate, to chill a little bit, spend time with their family and whatnot. So it's a bigger win than a loss, I'd say. I'm sure most people would agree. As long as they're they're getting recuperated and coming back with more good content, I'll be happy. But anyway, other than that, comment below, thumbs up the video, prefer the like button, subscribe, and check out my other videos. Other than that, I appreciate it. Everyone who's already subscribed, thank you all for listening. Bye.